the board of directors, the governors, the executive committee conveners, IVPC members, the guests, as well as the entire support team, the sponsors, we welcome you again back to business, and that too with a digital amour. Interestingly, or increasingly in this interconnected world, the digital transformation is accelerating across the industries, and we believe that cybersecurity is one of the critical pillars of resilience. There has been an incident a couple of months back when Mr. Ahuja and myself were discussing with few of the like-minded colleagues with regards to cybersecurity, the ERP implementations, the digital disruption taking place worldwide across the industries. And we recognize that cybersecurity is such an important aspect. Somewhere it needs the education, it needs the knowledge. And thanks to Mr. Karthik Raman and Mr. Ahuja, who came forward, curated an interesting series, a knowledge-backed series, came up with a unique title, and I'm sure that not only we over here in this auditorium, the thousands and the thousands others and the industries are going to take benefit of this initiative on cybersecurity and digital amour. We are blessed that at this August gathering, our chief guest is His Excellency Dr. Mohammad Al-Khindi. Dr. Mohammad Saeed Al-Khindi is a Senior Vice President at Invescore. He has had a distinguished career in the United Arab Emirates government, which culminated in his appointment as Minister of Environment and Water. Immediate after COP28 in UAE in December 2023, we requested him to chair an event which was the sustainability in retail. And he blessed that event immediately on our urgent request. And today, again, at beginning of 2025, Your Excellency, we welcome you to this unique event. Dr. Al-Khindi represents UAE at a wide variety of regional and international conferences and is a member of a number of national and international institutions. He has a doctorate in public administration, a Master of Bachelor of Arts of Political Science from California University, United States. Again, we welcome, and before I request him to come on podium and address this August gathering, our team at Indian Business and Professional Council has created a creative treasure for this initiative, and I request our team to play that treasure on the screen. Of course, as you are here, you are already signed up. But this signature, I am not looking for the attendance. We are looking for a digital amour. So, Your Excellency, we request you to come on podium and address the gathering.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude for inviting me to this Digital Armor Series Cybersecurity Insight Program 2025 organized by Indian Business and Professional Council, Dubai. On this occasion, I have the honor to extend my greeting to all you present here, and most importantly, the subject expert and the member of IBPC, and may the Almighty Allah guide you all to find a new opportunity to grow for a better future. I'm really happy to understand that the main objective which IBPC have taken up through this program is the utmost importance of cybersecurity to maintain and operating a secure digital infrastructure for entrepreneurs, for enterprises. Today, we are discussing about the critical issue that affect us all, which is cybersecurity. In this digital age, we are more connected than ever before. And with that comes a growing risk of cyber threats. As individual, as a business, and as a society, we must take action to protect ourselves and our organization from these threats. I would really like to appreciate IBPC for taking the initiative to discuss about the Digital Armor Series, a comprehensive approach for cybersecurity that provide insight, expert, and technology to help shape a secure enterprise. In today's digital landscape, cybersecurity and no longer a luxury but a necessity for enterprises to survive and thrive. The increasing of cyber threats has made it imperative for organizations to prioritize cybersecurity and development strategy. We all know that cyber threats are becoming increasingly sophisticated, but it's not just about the threat of themselves. It's about the impact that can have on our business and our lives. With this Digital Armor Series, you will have access to expert advice and guidance, cutting-edge technology, and regular security insight and analytic. The United Arab Emirates Cybersecurity Council is dedicated to empowering the community with knowledge about the critical risk and consequence of digital threats. Our mission is to cultivate a reliant cyber ecosystem, promote protective vigilance, and develop strategies and cybersecurity solutions to safeguard the nation's digital landscape. Implementing strong cybersecurity to protect against the attack is a major responsibility of agencies. United Arab Emirates is always committed to do the great efforts in the field of the cybersecurity and the promotion of international cooperation for a safer cyber world. I understand that the IBPA organization is committed to make platform for business professional where they can do networking with other industry members to learn about new trends, share insight, and receive valuable mentorship. Business networking is important because it allows professionals to identify new opportunity and increase their chance of entrepreneurial success. Also, this conference raises awareness of importance and the value of cybersecurity awareness in several ways and to express support to achieve the goal of a safer digital world. Let me end my speech by congratulating again the organizer of this conference and wishing them all the success and good luck in your future life. I am sorry if I did not get in a right way of this subject of this meeting, but I hope I did my best in it. Okay. Together we can create a safer, more secure digital world, a world where we can trust our technology, our data, and our connection, a world where can thrive and grow without fears of cyber threats. I do sincerely hope that this conference will be a real motivation for you all to work with more sincerely. I would extend my all support and cooperation for your all progressive activity. I conclude by thanking the Almighty, the source of all goodness. Thank you once again and wish the conference the best. Thank you.
And Your Excellency, as you mentioned that a speech was not relevant, I also think so, it was not relevant. But it was the most relevant speech of the day. It's not just relevant, it was the most relevant thing because it is highlighting the steps toward digital economy. And the digital economy starts if we are geared with the cyber knowledge, the resilience, and the cyber security, of course. I think everything was covered, and inshallah, we will request you later time to give this speech in black and white to us so that in our monthly magazine we can take the opportunity to publish that, inshallah. And now, may I request the hero of the evening, the curator, along with the team, focus group, TT, Technology and Telecom by Indian Business and Professional Council. So convener is invited, Mr. Karthik Raman. Stage is yours, the event is yours.
Thank you, Sahitya ji, for that very warm, very kind words for me. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for being a part of this pivotal discussion on cybersecurity. This is a topic which is no longer just a technical topic. It is a critical business imperative. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Karthik Raman. I'm the convener for the Technology and Telecom Focus Group of IBPC. Thank you once again for taking out time to be with us here today. Let me take a few minutes to lay the land of what is coming up today and and give you some of the snapshots of what we are trying to cover in today's event. Let me start with the Middle East. The Middle East is undergoing a profound digital transformation across sectors like finance, energy, healthcare, telecom, and of course government. And we can see this all in our own countries. We can see how that growth is happening. This makes it both a hub for innovation, but also a prime target for cyber attacks and cyber threats. And our teaser spoke about some of the statistics. Let me rephrase those statistics back to you. 219 trillion cyber attacks a year is what is happening in the world. $10.5 trillion is the estimated global cost of cyber crime in 2025. $4.88 million is the average global cost of a data breach. And that of Middle East is $6.8 million, by the way. Much higher than every other part of the world. In 2024 alone, Saudi Arabia faced over 120 million cyber attacks. What do these figures speak? They highlight the growing sophistication of cyber criminals and the cyber world, and how they are targeting high-value organizations like yourselves. And that's obvious that the business of cybersecurity is itself expanding very rapidly for obvious reasons. Some statistics here too. The Middle East cybersecurity market was valued at $14.6 billion last quarter. It's projected to be nearly double to almost $30 billion by 2030, growing at a CAGR of about 9.8 or 9.7%. This growth reflects the increasing demand for robust solutions to counter threats for enterprises, like simple hack and leak operations, which, by the way, concerns 47% of regional businesses, far exceeding the global average. As you're aware, many organizations still struggle with vulnerabilities and data breaches and third-party breaches, while state-sponsored attacks takes this whole discussion to another level of complexity. I'm not really going there. But here's the good news. Nearly 25% of regional organizations plan to increase their cybersecurity budgets by over 11% in 2025. So that's the good news. I think most of us who are in the cybersecurity business will make note of this. 25% of organizations plan to increase their budget by 11% in 2025. These are absolutely registered numbers. So obviously this signals a proactive shift towards cybersecurity as a business. And this is the genesis of the Digital Armor series, a 3-part symposium focusing on cybersecurity and safe AI, curated and delivered exclusively by IBPC to all of you. In today's inaugural session, aptly titled Cybersecurity Insights, Shaping a Secure Enterprise, we, the TT focus group, we have put together an august panel of keynote speakers and panelists to help us decode this subject. But critically, it is for the average business owner, business executive in this room. We hope that after this session, you take back an understanding of how to shape your own cybersecurity strategy for your own businesses. If you have even one or two takeaways in that direction, I would think that it's a job very well done by us. This time around, we've changed the format a bit. We have one keynote speech, but we have two panel discussions. The first one is focused around all the technical moving parts of cybersecurity, all the technical artifacts of cybersecurity. And the second one looks at the same subject of cybersecurity, but from a lens of a CXO, a CEO, or a business owner. So the audience would have both the flavors of the subject in today's session. So before I move on to the next segment and introduce our keynote speaker, I would like to take some time and thank our co-sponsorer for this evening, who's Falcon Eye Cybersecurity, head by Chandan Ahuja. Chandanji, if you can just stand up. Thank you so much for this, Chandanji. We hope that you would continue with your endorsements to IBPC at all times. Chandan Bhai has been a seasoned investment banker, illustrious career, and then moved on to cybersecurity in the last 4-5 years. And he's been doing a stellar job for his customers here. We are even going to play a small AV which talks about his accolades. Yeah, thank you so much for that. With this, I think it's time that we can introduce our keynote speaker for this afternoon. Our keynote speaker is deeply embedded in the subject of cybersecurity and safe AI. He comes with over 20 years of experience in the field of cybersecurity and AI at various technical levels. He is presently the practice lead for safe AI and data protection and the solutions leader for CPX, the apex cybersecurity body of G42 or Mubadala. He comes in all the way from Abu Dhabi for this symposium, so thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Sukiraman Manivannan or Suki. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, CPX is the apex body for cybersecurity in the region. It provides for various kinds of cybersecurity services for the government and others. So to a large extent, policy advocacy in the cybersecurity space, CPX plays a very huge role in that regard. Suki comes with a strong foundation in privacy and responsible AI. With his experience, he brings a unique blend of expertise in ensuring safety and ethical design to AI systems. He's a passionate advocate for privacy and responsible AI beyond regulatory compliance. He's earned the prestigious Fellow of Information Privacy from IAPP, also a certified AI governance professional. As a guest lecturer for the University of Madras, he's educated several students in cybersecurity, cyber forensics, and data privacy. He mentors young graduates, inspires them for considering careers in cyber privacy. He also acts as a technical mentor for many startups in the space of AI safety. Suki enjoys cooking, engaging with younger generations. I don't know what younger generation really means to this, coming with all his accolades. And he creates meaningful connections and shared experiences. Thank you very much for being with us, Suki. The floor is all yours.
A very good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, I want to extend my sincere gratitude for having me here in this wonderful forum and having an opportunity to be standing in front of this distinguished and learned professionals here, sharing my thoughts on cybersecurity, safe AI, and data privacy a little bit. Our superstar convener here, when he presented the facts about global trends in cybersecurity, mentioned a lot of frightening numbers, 10.8 billion, 4.8 million as the average cost of breaches and all. And I also want to start with some positive facts which would give some respite to the business leaders convened here. We are operating in a country and a business environment which is placed as a global role model in cybersecurity. International Telecommunications Union, ITU, has placed UAE as one of the global role models for cybersecurity as of 2024. And similarly, in the AI space, Stanford University did a research last year, towards the end of last year, where they tried to index a lot of countries on various AI parameters. And out of 36 countries which were evaluated, UAE stands 5th in the ranking. So those are important facts that would give a lot of confidence to business investors and business entrepreneurs coming onto this country and setting up businesses here. With that, I have a few slides that I wanted to show you guys as part of my keynote. I will start with it. My name is Suki Raman Manivandan. You can address me as Suki. As the convener introduced, I lead the practice for safety and protection of AI and data protection in CPX. Great. So we're going to be talking just not about AI, but a little bit more than the other subject on AI, where we navigate from a regulatory landscape to how we transform those regulations into a reality as we businesses operate in our day-in, day-out lives. Yeah, next slide, please. Thanks. All right, key trends for 2025 in the AI space. Of course, this is again a research that was done by Capgemini Research Institute. We take some facts from there. Generative AI. So we've been hearing this word generative AI for a good amount of 2024. Now I think the transition has already started from a generative AI to agentic AI, which is going to have a greater impact in our businesses. So that remains as a key focus in 2025. Similarly, cybersecurity, so the way that we've been treating traditional security measures would still be applicable to AI systems, but as AI is acting in a semi-autonomous and an autonomous fashions, we need to elevate our levels of cybersecurity practices and controls that we put in place as part of our new trends. That cybersecurity of AI is also finding a place as number 2. Robotics, the gap between the human and the machine, the line that we have is more and more becoming blurred. So that narrative of humans and machines interacting way too close together is also finding a top trend in 2025. Nuclear energy, AI needs a lot of compute power, as we all know. So the compute power is going to be catered through a lot of various different energy sources, and nuclear energy is going to be playing a very key role on that. Supply chain, very interestingly, the way that the whole supply chain ecosystem is operating, we are looking at greener supply chains, more efficient AI-assisted supply chains as a key trend for 2025. Next slide, please. The same if you look at from an industry standpoint and an investment standpoint, those same top 5 trends that we see here are AI and Gen AI, AI in software engineering, multimodal AI, agentic AI, generative AI, moving from co-pilots to agentic AI systems and supply chain. So that's the order that we're looking at. So business executives are really focused on AI and Gen AI in cybersecurity as new defense mechanisms are needed for new threats that are arising from AI. Similarly, AI in software engineering. Again, from an investor standpoint, the investment is today going into the space of agentic AI, more reasoning AI agents is where it is going. Health tech, again, cybersecurity in AI finds another time in the investor's portfolio, the 3rd place in there. Again, the same software, engineering AI, and multimodal AI finds. So the trends are very clear that AI is here to stay, and AI is having to have an impact in our lives, and it is our responsibility to understand safety and security related to AI systems. Next slide, please. This is a very busy slide, but I wanted to keep it busy to give you a very holistic view of how the regulatory landscape is today looking like. If you look at across the globe, AI is going to have an impact not just from an AI regulatory standpoint, but also it has close connection with data, So privacy becomes an important problem. Similarly, cybersecurity becomes an important problem. And this whole ecosystem most of the times runs on cloud ecosystem. So cloud is also becoming an important problem. So putting all of those four important parameters together, the global regulatory landscape looks very, very convoluted and busy. In the Middle East, especially if you look at each one of our Middle Eastern economies do have data protection requirements coming up. In the Middle East, again, some countries are global pioneers in AI, and rightfully so, have stringent guidelines and requirements in terms of developing and operating AI systems and models in place. UAE is the only nation in the world, or the first nation in the world, to have a dedicated Ministry for Artificial Intelligence way back in 2017. So that is a ministry focused on developing guidelines and regulatory requirements, assisting businesses to navigate the complex environment of AI. And also, we do have a strategy, UAE National AI Strategy for 2031, where the focus is making UAE as the leader, global leader in AI, making almost all governmental services AI-based by 2031. If you can move to the next slide, please. So this is the strategy that we're talking about. Since many of us are from the Indian business environment, I wanted to also show you a little bit of India's national AI strategy in comparison with the UAE one. Almost very similar. Both of these nations aspire to become the hub for developing AI solutions, also putting the emphasis on solving societal challenges using AI, competitiveness in the world, for bringing the right talent pool of people to support AI initiatives, safety initiatives. India has got a framework called FAT, which stands for Fairness, Accountability, and Transparency, which are deeply rooted again in UAE's AI strategy, where there is an emphasis on AI governance as one of the foundational pillars of it. So just not UAE and India, but rightfully so, they are also in the game that every nation today is looking into bringing cybersecurity and safety and transparency and human rights related obligations into the AI framework. If you can go to the next slide. So this is UAE specific charter for development of AI, which is based on 12 foundational principles. One of the foundational principles is to have an effective AI governance, robust AI governance program in place for every entity which is adopting the journey of AI. Beyond that, there is always importance given to applicable laws and development of AI systems in compliance to the international commitments and treaties and applicable regulations, and promoting awareness and inclusivity while you develop AI systems is equally important. To give you a very classic example, we had live examples in the past 1 year of AI going wrong in our lives in many instances, right? One classic example known to the public world is a resume screening system of a major tech company in the world. It was forced to take down that system because of an inbuilt bias into the algorithm. It was skewed towards the training data that was fed into that algorithm was skewed towards male population, and because of that, every other female applicant into the system, their application was rejected automatically. So these are classic problems that we've seen in the world, and these regulations are here to protect and make sure that we are doing AI in a very inclusive, safe, fair, bias-free environment here, right? If you can go to the next slide. So we, as part of my role in the company where I work at, we've done extensive research on global regulations, global standards and frameworks around AI. And we find that there are 6 common themes in all of these regulations, including the one that exists in UAE and India and so on and so forth. The 6 themes talks about vision and strategy, having the right vision as a nation to invest in the right talent pool, technicalities, data center capabilities, compute power capabilities as all taking the #1 precedence. Second is use case. a lot of us as businesses today are experimenting a lot with AI. Some of those experiments are very, very fruitful. Return on investment is spot on. Some of them are not up to that mark. So we need to take a call. What are the right use cases where AI is making my life more efficient, my business more efficient, and what are those use cases which can still run in a traditional operating environment that it has been running so for the past few number of years. So that use case, fine-tuning of that and adopting AI for right causes is again an important theme. Data is the core of AI, as we all know. So data remains one of the foundational themes across all of these regulations and standards. Similarly, IT infrastructure, including traditional cybersecurity requirements and IT requirements, remain as one of the themes in the regulatory environment. People and governance are the last two, which has got an important component associated to them. Developing the right skill sets, both as a nation as well as individual businesses, takes precedence when we speak of people, and governance is emphasized all across almost all of these regulations and standards and guidelines. Go to the next slide. Why is governance being emphasized so much across all of these standards and regulation is because the risks associated to AI is new. Not completely new, but new in multiple different elements and ways. So as businesses, we need to get a fairer understanding of the newer risk AI poses to make important risk decisions as organizations and enable our risk teams to be aware of these new risks introduced across the enterprises and be able to control it appropriately. Also, we are looking at a near future where AI is going to be more interconnected to humans and our lives more than ever. The next biggest evolution in technology is going to be where cyber physicals are integrated with AI technologies, which would make it a very, very innovative world that we would start to live in. So imagine all those sci-fi movies that we have seen in the past, so that part of that might come reality in the near future. And if we do not govern that AI systems properly, as the sci-fi movies goes like iRobots and others, the AI could turn into a villain against the human society, right? So that is one of the other reasons why we need to have governance on AI. So those are the needs for having AI governance in place, embedded into every businesses that we do. If you can move to the next slide. Thank you. But is it all about compliance? Beyond compliance, if most of the businesses, of course, in the spirit of doing things, a lot of businesses does things very, very well, structured and good. But sometimes when we keep speaking about compliance, it becomes a checkmark activity. So, okay, have I done this? Done, thank you very much, right? So that's not the approach that we want to do with AI. So beyond compliance, there are definitely a lot of other incentives. And that is an area that we would want or emphasize every business to focus on. Using AI as a customer differentiating factor or a unique selling point for your own businesses is going to be possible by doing a few things. Importantly, handling data responsibly, using AI responsibly for the right use cases and causes, building trustworthy systems which caters to solving societal needs and problems, and also see AI, how it can be incorporated into your social responsibility program, CSR program. So your energy safety, your carbon neutral commitments, these are all factors that you can play around with AI coming in, because the more and more AI you use, the more and more energy consumption is also something that you're going to be doing. So how do you bring in the balance could easily be a CSR factor that you can factor in. You can move to the next slide, please. Last but not the least is a sort of a key takeaway for you guys, as well as if you're in the journey of establishing a roadmap for AI, focus these 5 important things. First is understand AI, where AI can play a pivotal role in your businesses. Second is evaluate your obligations as a business in your operating environments. What different obligations does the use of AI bringing in, both from an organizational standpoint as well as from a societal standpoint? Establish AI governance steering committees within your organization to oversee the whole implementation of AI. Manage your risks around AI. When I say manage your risk, it's not just the enterprise risk that you're talking about, it's also human risk that an AI system can cause to your customers. And finally, embed assurance. We do not want things like the example that I quoted about the recruitment screening system to happen in our business ecosystem. So make sure that assurance mechanisms, which provides assurance on fairness, accountability, transparency, bias, freeness, and all of that is embedded in your AI journey right from day one. With that, I think I conclude my speech. Thank you very much for the opportunity provided. Wishing you all a very happy new year, and keep this conversation alive within your organizations. Thank you very much.
Moderated by none other than Samir Makhija, co-convener for the Technology and Telecom Focus Group. But before that, we'd like to play you a 2-minute AV on our co-sponsors of this evening.
Year has grown into a journey of trust and success. By our third year, we have assisted over 25 organizations in their digital security challenges and achieved over 300% revenue growth compared to a year ago. Our direct collaboration with senior officials and law enforcement and state.
Our team also works on OSINT, Webit, and Apple, making sure that your data remains safe. Our UAE Security Operations Center, or the SOC, ensures that the data does not leave the country at any point in time. And thereby, we make our customers prepared, protected, and private. Thank you.
Hello everyone. We at Platinum focus on industries that keep the world running: manufacturing, law enforcement, hospitality, and corporates. Our identity intelligence and investment solutions don't just detect threats, they eliminate them. It's not just about technology, it's about building trust and resilience for every customer we serve.
Moderated by Samir Makhija. Let me give you a small few words about Samir. Samir serves as the account director for Hexagon, where he drives the EAM, or the Enterprise Asset Management business in the Middle East. He has rich experience of over 2 decades in ERP, EAM, contact center solutions, demonstrated ability in the consulting and business development space for EAM projects. He's been with IBPC for 15 plus years and is the co-convener of the TT Focus Group. Over to you, Samir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. So I have been tasked for the first panel discussion, which is more towards the technical landscape. And the objective of this panel is how tough it is to build and maintain and operate a digital armor. Now, definitely, I'll be taking help of some esteemed guests and panelists today. And but before I invite, I would like to tell a small story about, what I feel about cybersecurity and what is the general consensus. So in 2023 October, we were meeting a CIO or CEO who is running a $2 billion company. Since it's an operational management company, the number of employees was almost 50,000. So the CEO mentions, you know what, I have a lot of known people in dark space. You know, there is a very specific term for people who are into cybersecurity. And who would like to really attack a company like me? You know, we are a small company. There are $50 billion company, $30 billion company. We are just $2 billion company. And come February 2024, there had a attack, a cybersecurity attack or cyber attack, where their servers were down for 2 months, and only 2 applications were running which were on SaaS. Not that I'm promoting too much on SaaS. So I believe that within the society and at a very high level, there is still a sense of denial that probably, you know, nobody will touch me. But we will definitely hear from our panelists that the kind of threat which we are looming, we are all aware of it. But without taking more time, I would like to then invite a guest of panelist. Okay, so not with any order of experience, something, more by the alphabetical. Let me invite our first panelist, which is Hari Prasad Shere. Hari is Chief Information Officer and Data Privacy Officer at National Bank of Fujairah. Has been my colleague also, you know, I almost 15 years back, and he brings a wealth of experience on information security, digital trust, data privacy, fraud management, digital transformation, change management, and risk management. And he has received numerous awards to the contribution which he has given. And Hari is also dedicated in promoting responsible use of digital innovation, working closely with schools and institutions to educate users. And he holds a lot of certifications in terms of information security from organizations like ISACA, SANS, and ISC. Let's give a big round of applause to Hari Prasad. Malik Abutahe. Malik is head of digital business and technology for Near and Middle East. Probably we will hear more what this Near means when he is on the stage. And he has 20 plus years experience on digital data, strong focus in cybersecurity, covering information technology and operational technology, which is OT. Maybe that is another area which we would probably focus on, but he is focused on developing and guiding the implementation of industry control systems, security programs, information systems, and many else. So probably when it talks about automation products, SCADAs, this is, and last but not least, we have Dr. Narayanan Krishnan. We call him as NK. And he's a globally recognized leader in cybersecurity, and he brings over 30 years of experience in safeguarding digital ecosystems, and CEO of Falcon Cybersecurity. He's been instrumental in delivering cutting-edge solutions in cyber intelligence, digital forensics to governments and corporate.
Great evening, salam alaikum. I'm glad that I'm part of this particular program for this. All right. Before answering my question, I just ask how many of you guys are not using mobile phone? Right? Okay. So that means you use some component of technology for your business. Right? Let's assume that business is like a motor vehicle, and you want to reach your destination. And each motor vehicle has having different horsepower. Some may have 100 to 1,000 or 3,000, depends upon what kind of cars you drive. Can you reach your destination without brakes in it? Possible? No, right? The security or the risk management or the assurance is like brakes. It enables you to reach that particular destination where you want to grow. independent of whatever the horsepower. Don't think that one, I'm 100 horsepower, I don't need brakes. A classic example where the Samigra has given that $2 billion or not even a $5 million turnover. The security is going at, and a hacker is not necessary to be somebody sitting in a sci-fi movie, sitting there and try to scan it. A bot can scan you and try to get into you without even. The hacker just sit at somewhere in the beach. He just put the bots. As soon as you are vulnerable, you'll get hacked. Always the question is, why me? Right? Why they target me? It may not be, it's not about why me, when and how they use those resources. Small example, a vegetable vendor, online vegetable vendor trying to sell his vegetables using Instagram account. It's a small business, right? Through the Instagram contacts, he should be able to sell his vegetables. What happens if his Instagram account itself is compromised? He just changed the destination account number to something else. He thinks that one business is coming, but it's gone. If his Instagram account is gone, can he be back to business so fast? So, security is not about a luxury. It is a basic necessity now. All right, that's what I stop it now.
Thank you. Let's pass this question to NK. Maybe on this, what are your views?
I echo Hari sir's perspective. And before I add my 2 cents to the whole story, let me share my gratitude to the place that we are, to the country, to UAE that we are here now. And we are conducting our business in a reasonable amount of security as we speak. The importance of cybersecurity is not about how big or how small we are. The importance of cybersecurity is how much can we lose. And I'll give you a completely different example. I'm checking in a bag at the airport, hoping that the bag will reach the destination spick and span. I also have the habit of locking the chains together. Most suitcases today have 2 sets of chains. It's a double chain system. And I've locked the 2 chains together. Now, because of the lock, nobody can open the suitcase. But all it needs is a ball pen. All it needs is some amount of effort. And you can open the suitcase, put or take anything that you want, and close it back again without the lock being disturbed. We were speaking with a group of friends, and someone says, what can they take from my suitcase? I've got some shirts, I've got some perfumes. That's all. What we forget is not what can be taken, but what can be put in. Let's say you're traveling to Malaysia, and someone puts substance in your suitcase. That passenger will not come out of Malaysia alive. That's what you can lose. So it's not about what you have, it is about what you can lose. That's the importance of cybersecurity today, highlighted by bots, which are continuously scanning everything in the world. If you are part of the vulnerable list, you get hacked.
Thank you, NK. It's well said. I believe we don't have to emphasize now too much on the requirement of cybersecurity. So maybe let me change the context, and Malik, let me come to you. See, the business people are very money-minded here. It's all about, yes, the importance is known. I think that's known for every aspect. Like maybe if a marketing guy is sitting here, he will say you need to advertise, you need to give 15%, same with cybersecurity. But at the end, a businessman has X money to spend. Now, how somebody can build a cybersecurity or strategy with a very limited kind of
Yeah, thank you, Samir. Thank you, everyone. Just to comment, one comment about your story that you have given at the beginning. I always say to our business that there's two types of organization. One that have been attacked, and the second one it will be. So if you are not yet attacked, you will be, just a matter of time. So the idea how we need to make sure that we are well protected, how we need to make sure that in case of an attack, how we can be resilient enough to recover and to restore to our normal operation. This is very important. The point that you mentioned that, why they need to attack us, and the other example you have given, Harry, today it's a fact that we are all compromised in one way or another, and we have to be ready if we have such an incident, how we need to react. And to answer your question, today it's not an easy topic when we go to the business and we ask for a budget. And cybersecurity today, in some organizations, they see it as a cost center. It's fact. However, the cybersecurity is a non-negotiable today. So we cannot say that we need to reduce our budget and we need at the same time to minimize our risk. So we have to find the right balance between how we need to define our strategy and how we have to have a smart investment in a way to focus on a risk-based approach. Of course, we cannot do everything at the same time. We cannot invest everywhere. We have to be smart and to see where we have to invest and when we have to invest and in which critical crown jewels of the business that we need to invest. So budget is a constraint today. However, the cybersecurity should be on the agenda of the CXOs, on the business owners, and should be everyone's responsibility. It's not only our responsibility as an expert to deliver and to make sure that you are secured. It's hand-on-hand journey that we should take. And always I say it's a journey. It's not a project. It's not a technology that we can go to the market and buy. It's a journey that might take maybe 2 or 3, maybe 5 years to reach the certain maturity that you need to make sure that your company organization is resilient enough.
Thank you, Malik. See, one thing is in terms of when we talk about the budget and we talk about the various, so can you highlight, like, let's say, top 3 areas which probably should be in the priority list for any business?
Yeah, as I said, that we have to have smart investment. So when we need to talk about the budget, we have to know in which area we have to invest. To reach to that level, usually what we do an assessment to understand our situation, where we are today, what is the maturity we have in our organization. And based on that, we can define our priorities, we can define our roadmap, and we can know exactly how much we need to invest, what kind of resources we have to acquire, and what kind of partners, like maybe Falcon, that we need to work with. So it's very important to know where we have to go based on our existing situation and to see where we should go in the coming 3 years or 5 years of investment.
So the assessment of your existing environment.
Indeed.
What exactly are your digital transformation plans, and then you invest into the various technologies.
Yes, and also we have to know what is our crown jewels, what is the most critical aspect in our business. Is it our operation, is it our service, is it our product? And accordingly we can be more focused on these crown jewels and try to protect, and then we go for the priority number 2, 3, etc. until we reach a certain maturity level.
So thank you, that's nice. Hari, I think let's go a bit more technical towards what are the trends which we are seeing. I'm sure like what used to happen 10, 15 years before is still there, but people have evolved, so is our hackers have evolved. So what are the typical threats which are more prominent or what you see, and how SMEs can actually prepare for that? And probably if you can talk about some of the common threats which are there in the market.
Okay. It is truly my experience from past 10, 12 years in a financial sector. The first and foremost thing is in the SME sector is business email compromise. Okay? Whether it is your CFOs or CEOs or anybody in your organization or any of your supply chain. What happens is one of your supply chain, if they hacked, in the invoice, they just need to change the account number. The same bank where the destination bank, they just need to change the account number. And the CFO of the source company immediately transferred the funds to them. And we get this kind of request at the last moment. After they transfer the funds, they come to know that one, oh my God, what is it? All right, it's the most common in the SME sector. And the second thing which what we have observed is with regards to how many of you have the social media accounts? Like a Facebook, Instagram? All right, everybody, okay. So the reason why I ask the question unlike the first one is, if you don't have, go and search in Google or go and search in any search engine. If you are a C-level executive, somebody else might have created on behalf of you. And they're managing your account. And they are behalf of you, they are managing already. Okay? So, if any CXOs are there here in this meeting, first thing please do, at least create an account of yourself. You be the owner of that. Once somebody takes the owner, getting back from those particular organizations to your own is one of the toughest one. And that is the key for any information transformation. How we use social media for the marketing, it can be easily used for negative purpose also. That is the second highest threat which we observed with the back end with Gen AI coming into picture. How many of you, okay, I'm sorry asking too many questions, but because a call coming from a number that you never received a call. Why they call you? Might be just wanted to sell their product, their services or something. With the Gen AI, it just takes 90 seconds to reciprocate your voice or replicate your voice exactly. If you are talking on that number for 90 seconds, a bot can replicate your voice again and call back to your CFO. Let's assume that you are a managing director and he has your number. A bot can call from your number with your voice to your CFO, please execute this transaction. Is it okay? All right? This is the third thing the Gen AI is getting it out in the current threats. Okay? So identity, verification and validation is one of the most critical thing in this part of the world. I still remember people say that when I say please use second factor authentication tokens or any tokens, they say that no, I can't carry so many tokens. So this is the third threat. The fourth but not the least, there are $200 trillion, some $1 trillion, I'm very vague in remembering those numbers. 50% of the hackers are not like a sci-fi movie sitting outside. They're sitting inside your organization. By the adoption of the cloud, by the adoption of the social networks, by the adoption of robots, I'm sure that within 2030, every out of 10 members, one will be a robot. A misconfiguration of that. 50% of the hacks happen due to the basic misconfiguration. If you are a business owner, ask for basic questions. Security is all about common sense. Though we say security is very common sense is very uncommon. But please sit back and ask those basic questions. How you are ensuring your password? How, if somebody hacks my account, can I have my data backup somewhere? If you manage these basics properly in your SME, I'm sure that you handle 80% of your attacks minimum. Of course, we can't stop all the attacks.
Thank you, Hari. I think you are making things more tough and tough. So as we go out of this room, probably this needs to be closely looked into. So now the problems are known. We know these are the common threats which are there in the market. And we have seen a practical example. A lot of us have faced it individually. And we have heard about when this really happens. But let's come to NK. NK, in your opinion, what are the key components if cyber defense strategy has to be built in? Give us elaborate bit on what are the key components in your opinion a company should look into.
Excellent question, sir. One of the key elements for any organization, small, large, medium, is to run a risk assessment like sir just mentioned, to identify what is important to me, what is outside that can damage my data, that can corrupt my data, that can damage my reputation, and then take steps. As part of the risk assessment, I would advocate a vulnerability assessment exercise. It is as simple as early in the morning you put a dipstick into the engine oil chamber to check how much oil is there. Because if that oil goes down beyond a certain level, there is a potential chance that you can damage the engine. Oil is a few dirhams, engine is a few thousand dirhams. That's the risk assessment that we do. So if we can do the same for our IT systems, our servers, our endpoints, our cloud applications and so on, we would come to know what is missing or what needs to be done. That's the first step. The second step is to engage with someone, because it's not possible for an organization which has 20 people to have an IT staff which has 10 people. A typical 20, 50 organization team would have an IT staff of maybe 1 or 2. They cannot manage the infrastructure 24/7, because while we close the office at 6 in the evening, people outside are still awake. So it's better to have some form of managed security services who will monitor everything, every time, 24/7. So these are two critical elements of a digital armor.
Thank you. Maybe I would like to extend your experience towards the same.
Yeah, indeed, as mentioned, that hackers, they don't sleep. They are follow the sun. They're 24/7 available for us. So they're just waiting the right time and the right moment to jump in and do their job. They are making a lot of money. Again, some trillions, millions they are doing every day out of this business. So we need to be vigilant. We need to be ready. And we need to be on the edge to be ready for this kind of attacks. Now, I would say to reform the strategy, it's very important to focus on 3 elements. The people, to have the right skill set, the right expertise, and the right partners again, because we cannot afford to have 24/7 monitoring on our environment. And we don't have the right budget to keep this kind of expertise. So the idea is to have the right people, to have the right technology. So we need to know in which technology we need to invest, what kind of threats and risk that we are having and facing, so we can acquire the good technology, and to have the right process, policies, procedures, right onboarding, having a cyber culture among our employees, what kind of awareness campaign we have to keep educating our team, our end users, because they are the weakest chain. And if you have the best technology on the market, with one click on one email, that can jeopardize all what you have done. As simple as that. And we have many use cases. I'm coming from a company where we are doing energy, water, and waste. We are managing critical infrastructure, which has impact on the national economy and national security. So you can imagine what would be the impact if we cannot deliver the electricity to the municipality. What would be the impact if we can deliver the water to the population? It's a huge impact. So we need to think smart. And again, one of the things that always I take to our CXOs when we have this kind of discussion, how much would cost the investment on the cybersecurity versus being down for 30 minutes. I want to say for 1 day or 2 days, for 30 minutes. So it's a huge, so we need to think smart and to make sure that, again, cybersecurity is something is non-negotiable, and cybersecurity, it has to go hand in hand with each and every activity that we have in our organization. So it's very important.
No, thank you, Malik. So many times, most of the discussion which happens is towards information technology. Now, building management system is a system which actually takes care of all the alarms which are coming from your HVAC, which is very important, especially in summers if your ACs are not working. Also electrical systems, lifts, and many other systems which is doing. Now we go to that particular room, and I would say the lowest caliber of the person is sitting there to monitor alarms, which is fine, the budget is always a problem. But that machine where the system is running is still running on Windows XP. So it's on Windows XP. The person who is actually evaluating is the person who is probably has been just asked to say, okay, you monitor. So, but then if you see the impact, when the impact happens on such assets, it can be a major issue towards the regular economy. So, just to add, but Hari, I don't want to miss your experience on this.
So I'll just tell the example of the HVAC system compromise on Windows 97. Everybody knows about Target, the biggest retail chain organization in the US. It got compromised and it crossed $1 billion in its payment systems got compromised. The root cause is one of the AC systems monitoring system has been compromised by a hacker because it is not upgraded to the latest one.
I have seen it with my eyes, so not targeted, but I don't never talk about
That is public information.
But this happens, yeah. So this is definitely a compromised area which we don't realize. I think we would like to open this floor for questions because there's a lot of conversation, and I can tell you I have a lot more to ask, but then many times we miss from the audience where there are very
Last year around October, a small company, a medium-sized company in UAE got compromised. They had a ransomware attack. We were called in the middle of the night, we rushed in. We stopped the attack in 6 hours. It took us 8 days to get systems back into operations. It took us 24 days, 25 days to be precise, if I include the first day, 25 days to restore data. We could not restore all of it. They lost all their accounts data, so they don't know who owes them money. They lost all their accounts data. They lost a significant amount of their operational data. Even today, about 35 to 40% of data is missing, but they are operational. Now this happened with 2 servers, about 100 employees, and about 3 people working in IT.
Thank you for sharing this.
Wow. Amazing discussion, very educative, really enjoyed it. One question for Malik. Malik, you mentioned that one of the vulnerabilities is the employee, people who work in the organization. You can invest in the best technology, etc., but if people are not aware and then they don't implement and enforce, what are some of the best practices in this in terms of educating people and keeping them abreast and educated?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, in the organization which I'm working for, we have a program from the day one that we have a new employee joining the company. So we do an onboarding session. We force some e-learning modules, some training that he must complete before he start having exposed to our systems. And if he's coming from the operational side of the business, it will be even more stringent, I would say, learning. And once he complete, and there's some like questions, some exercise, he passed through, then we can grant him the access to our system. This is the first step. Second, we have quarterly simulation phishing attacks to simulate a real scenario on the operation and on the different support functions to see how our employees, the level of maturity they have. And based on that, again, we keep doing that each and every quarter. And those who are failed to those kind of attacks, we again run the same program to them to make sure that they better understand how they need to spot whether it's phishing or not phishing, how they need to report, and so on and so forth. So it's a continuous, I would say, programs. It will never end. And even today about AI, we recently have signed a contract with awareness program with AI embedded. So based on the reaction and interaction with the system, the AI will change the type of training, the type of things that it's trying to introduce to the users. So it's very interesting to see how they are reacting, and based on that we see how we need to improve over the time. Welcome.
And there is also monitoring on user behavior. So if you have some amount of monitoring in place, then anytime a user errs or makes a mistake, it is captured and then HR takes over for disciplinary action.
With regards to the skill set, the trend is changing completely. All right. If I say that I'm an expert in the networks 2 years back, can I be the expert now? We need to judge. As the CXOs of the organization, how you get an assurance that your people are capable to do it. There are tools available now. If you say, this SOC engineer, this is a SOC analyst, one is this, based on what you have the technology, you can put the skill set matrix on continuous assessment. Alright, so depends upon how much you want to invest on security. There are tools available now.
Yeah. So I have an open question because we are living in a world of deep fake now. So there are a lot of deep fake attacks which are happening across organizations, right? So it's like you gave an example of voice, right? Same thing with pictures, identity stolen, and all those. Do you see in near future we will be having a proactive tool which will be tracking these kind of activities, like someone is copying deepfake, someone is stealing the identities, and proactively stop or alert a user that, like you said, nobody knows, right? For example, I'm not on social media, right? And someone create my identity, but I'm not aware. But is there any tool which will come, which will identify all these things and alert me that yes, there is someone who created an Instagram ID in my name, or someone is deepfaking my videos or my voice, something like this. Is there any tool which will come?
There are many tools available currently in the market. Some are freewares. If you have the technology advanced guys, they can put the bots into a couple of dark. First we have it, we can bots and subscribe to it, and you can see about yours. But there is a subscription available with as low as $100 per month. You can get a subscription and get it done. That is the first thing. And the second is, if something happens like that, do we all know whom to report? A lot of people get scammed and they hesitate, they're worried about their reputation. They hesitate to complain. Do we know whom to apply if we are a victim of such particular cybercrime? Do we know? Can we ask our security guys inside the organization which authority do we need to communicate? Okay, there's a twin side. Tools are available. I can off-site, I can give you money. I don't want to tell the vendors names here, so I should be able to provide.
And when it comes to tools, it's also important to know, do we have the bandwidth to analyze the data that is coming from the tool? So using a tool and a service generally works better because you have someone who is an expert in analyzing the tool and giving you just the right information you need to take decisions. For example, if there is a website which says nkuae.com and somebody somewhere in the world registers a domain which is nkualphae.com, visibly they are similar, and therefore man-in-the-middle attacks, which sort of started at the very first, the email compromise, is possible. But if you have a service and a tool working in tandem, the moment someone registers a domain, you will come to know and you can take a call whether to take that domain down or not.
Just in 1 second, a very important message for everyone. Educate your kids about this risk. It's very, very important to make sure that our kids are ready for the AI-enabled environment. It's something essential, and it will be exposed to each and every one of us. Thank you.
So I think with that, probably we'll end this panel. I would like to thank NK sir, Malik, Hari. So really appreciate your valuable inputs. So thank you all. And definitely the panelists are available, so you can ask at the later stage. Thank you. Was definitely we wanted to bring some technologies. The second one is more looking into the higher level at a strategy. For that, I would like to invite the person whom we all know, our convener, Karthik Raman, who is an ex-IBM, comes with almost 25 years of IT experience. I would definitely invite him on the dais to take the panel.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you for that. In interest of time, I'd like to call upon our very exalted three panelists for our business session, as we call it. And can I call upon stage a very seasoned C-level executive with over 40 years of well-rounded experience at strategic and tactical levels across several industries, including banking and finance. I call upon stage Mr. T.K. Raman, Group CEO, Finance House, PJSC. Mr. Raman is, this is like there are too many Ramans here, so this is becoming a Raman effect. We didn't really make that. We have Suki Raman, we now have Mr. T.K. Raman, we have got a Karthik Raman here. Unbelievable. Right?
Cyber Raman.
This is Cyber Raman, yeah. So Mr. Raman has a very long list of accomplishments. He's been in the investments and asset management space for a long time, insurance, card-based payment systems, international remittance, and IT security out of everything else. He is the CEO of Finance House PJSC. He's also the board member of Insurance House PJSC, Vice Chairman for FH Capital PJSC, Board Member for Finance House Securities LLC, Mainland Management LLC, and National Investor PJSC. Very warm welcome, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time for us.
Thank you.
Can I call upon stage our second panelist, who is an equally exalted Group CIO. He is an IIM graduate, currently works as the Group CIO for Al Bata Group, Dubai. Can I call upon stage Mr. Saji Uman? Thank you so much for taking your time, sir. Thank you so much. So Mr. Saji Oman is the Group CIO for Al Bata Group. It's a group which is comprised of over 50 companies. It specializes in sectors as diverse as automotive, healthcare, manufacturing, engineering, electronics, FMCG, food, and real estate. He's been in the UAE for the past 37 years. He was also the board member of Overseas India Economic Forum when it merged with the other two organizations to form IBPC in 2003. So I think with this, he's going to be our new member inducted. Amitabh, please, you should contact Mr. Saji Uman from a membership perspective. You just have to wear two hats here. Thank you so much for being here with us, Mr. Saji. Our third panelist is a seasoned banking executive. He comes from the fintech world with over 15 years of senior level experience in private banking. He is now the CEO for MENA, for 3S.Money. Mr. Evangelos Kaldelis, thank you so much for being here. I hope I got that pronunciation right.
I think I'm the only Evangelos.
Thanks for being here. So Evans has been the CEO for the MENA region for 3S.Money for the last 3-4 years. He's been instrumental in building the local branch of the business and has improved financial services for the firm. It's an extremely global firm, and so he faces cybersecurity attacks and is well versed with this subject from a business perspective. He's been focused on building high-performance private banking teams. He's been, prior to 3S Money, he spent a significant time with Standard Chartered Bank. He's served roles of client services in JP Morgan, in Geneva as the emerging markets CEO, amongst other roles. Thank you so much for such an august audience. Common questions from a business perspective, and then would like to go to some individual questions because of the diversity of industry and sector we have here. So, the first one, what are the top 3 cybersecurity risks which keep you awake as a CEO or a business owner? This is like borrowing from where we left the previous panel.
You want me to go?
Yeah, Mr. Raman, you could start and then.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I don't stay awake at nights. You've got enough things to worry about. Actually, as a business perspective, a few things do bother me from a cybersecurity perspective. One is obviously AI, as we heard from Sukhi earlier on. Fortunately or unfortunately, the AI technology is available both to legitimate and illegitimate users. So if the hackers and the cyber attackers go ahead of us in terms of AI-enabled or generative AI-enabled cyber attacks, it's definitely a bigger threat for us because our systems, which are more built on traditional forms, may not necessarily be able to cope up with the AI-based attacks. And they are happening, by the way, even today as we speak. The UAE credit card industry, they may not necessarily openly admit it, but at least one banker is smiling from the corner. So it's something that is a reality which happens every day. The second aspect as well, I think the previous panel did touch upon it. The supply chain vulnerabilities, we don't realize it. Every institution, not just a finance company, everybody else, we work with several vendors who do multiple things for us. And to a large extent, we have no clue what's going on in their shops. And they may have part of your data, they're doing something for you, there's a leak there, there's a breach here. That's another aspect that does bother us. Last but not the least, the myth about cloud migration. Right? We all think migrating to an AWS or an Oracle or a Microsoft Azure is a panacea for all our problems. Our experience, I mean, as somebody who has witnessed what we did, there are a lot of slips between the cup and the lip when you move from an on-premise environment to a cloud environment. You take certain things for granted. You know, we talked about soft knock and stuff. It's easier to manage when you're on-prem, but you're not very sure who's doing what when you move into a different environment. So I would say these 3 are probably the business risks as I look at it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Uman, what is keeping you awake at night?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely happy to hear that one of the very seasoned CEOs in this region is having some sleepless nights because of cybersecurity. This was not the situation some few years back, not long back. We've been raising voice from the IT community. There's a problem, but we used to be ignored all the time. Nobody wants to listen. IT or IT security was not the strategy of any company here.
True.
But now suddenly they started listening to us. It is back onto the table for discussion, and the IT professionals are also sharing the table. I mean, we have a seat on the table now. Not because of any love and affection to the IT community, it's purely because of the business impact of security threats. We heard some statistics. I also read a few about a data breach report from IBM that 83% of the businesses have suffered from data breaches in 1 year, last year. Coming back to UAE, it's a published report. 73% of the companies had ransomware attacks in the last 2 years. Approximately half of the companies have lost data. So, it means that we have a reason to have some sleepless nights. That's a problem. He mentioned about some of the issues like AI, supply chain issues. These are all issues, they're relevant issues. But I would like to add something more to the list. One is about the different systems that we carry with us. The laptops could be there, which has got multiple security applications installed, is all updated. We have, in any company, we have multiple systems integrated together. To IT professionals, we normally see it as the highest point of risk. Because a lot of security risk can happen in that particular domain. And another important thing is about the human errors. There is again another statistic which says that 75% of the issues are caused by human errors. When you say that caused by human beings, not because of the disgruntled employees alone, it could also be some of the innocuous employees who fall prey to social engineering attacks. So most of the issues come from there. So what it means is that we need to have some sort of a holistic approach, strategy to address this problem of cyber threat. The technology alone cannot solve the problem. We need to have the people involved. We need to have our business processes embedded with the appropriate cyber protection so that we will be able to thwart and address the different attacks comes from cyber attacks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Evans?
Thank you. Yes, for us as a fintech scale-up, I would say the drama started halfway through the journey because 6 years ago when we started the company, a small startup, nobody knew about us, we could sleep very well at night because no one would attack us, right? We were not known in the market. And then we got investments from VCs, we started spending money in marketing, and one nice long weekend we found ourselves under a DDoS attack, which was too big to handle, to be honest, for our size. And this is where we learned a lot of lessons. We started cutting off the marketing budgets, investing more in the risk management, compliance, cybersecurity budgets, and we started noticing, a lot of fraudsters looking at the company, either impersonating LinkedIn profiles, etc. Things that for a small company were not common. Right? And this is what keeps us now awake at night, I would say. How do we keep on growing without compromising our company, our clients? How much money do you need to spend to keep your company safe, right? Because every penny that you spend on security and compliance is a penny that you take off your growth at the same time. So these are the questions that we have. This is what keeps us up at night.
Terrific. Thank you for that. I mean, you touched upon a very important aspect of money and money being spent in this area. So, sir, is the region really ready to spend in this area? And as executives, how do you look at investments in this area and how do you really demark that this is the amount of money we need to spend in cybersecurity and so on?
Well, is the region ready? I don't think there is a choice. You have to protect your assets, digital sure if I agree with the benchmarks of somebody says, roughly 10 to 15% of your IT spend should be in IT security. I don't necessarily subscribe to that view. You need to understand the risks, the key risks that your organization is facing in terms of cyber security. As a finance company, our risks are the same as any bank. It's no different. So we have certain mandatory spends that need to be there. You have to be PCI DSS compliant, you have to be ISO 27001 certified. So all of that is essential in terms of your overall risk assessment of what are the key risks that your organization faces. So this is an assessment every company should do, irrespective of which business they are in. Once you identify that, then you've got to find out what you need to do to protect your interests. You can't build everything in one day, 1 year, or whatever. So you've got to have a roadmap and say, okay, these are my key risks. I start spending increasingly on this to protect myself, typically on a 2 to 3 year roadmap. Just before coming to this conference, out of interest, I just wanted my financial control department to check what is the spend that we have on information security, not personal, excluding people, on your tools and maintenance that you normally spend. I was told about 7.5% of our total IT spend is on information security.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Very, very insightful. Mr. Uman?
Yeah, I agree. The risk-based approach possibly will be the most logical way by which you can address what is need to be invested, how much money needs to be invested. That gives you an idea about the priorities, where exactly, because this can be done through some external consultants who will advise you what needs to be done. But we need to remember that we came from a number of years back when we have this problem with the security getting investments. We used to use a lot of horror stories to create a fear factor among the businesses. Okay, we need to invest money, but that's not happening anymore. All the businesses are most willing to invest money on security. I've also seen some of the, I think not here, some statistics that in this region alone, in UAE alone, last year the spend was around $1.8 billion on security. But again, I should also add one more statistics to that. The money lost in UAE because of cybersecurity threats is approximately $1.4 billion. We spent $1.8 billion, we lost $1.4 billion. But the most important thing here is that, we need to have a sense of balance in the spending. I've seen companies who have got the paranoia about security. At least one company I know that they've been spending a lot of money on security. He mentioned about 7% of the IT budget. I think it's one of the benchmarked figures, by the way. Even though you are spending, he came across that's benchmarks, there's a benchmark figures. But what happens is that some people spend on unwanted things. I've seen one company, they don't have a proper identity management system like Active Directory, but they have been spending on automated patch management solutions because they wanted to make sure that it is. But one thing we need to remember is that 100% security, 100% protection and insulation against attacks is impossible. You have to spend astronomical amount of money to get that, very close to that level of protection. So what we need to focus on is to create some defensive mechanisms within our business so that we can spring back to normal as soon as possible. That's what we are nowadays focusing on. If some incident happens, how we can, so a lot of investments are not going to prevent the attacks, but to mitigate the after effects of the attacks. That's where I think we need to change some strategies, given all the advanced threats that we have seeing every day. AI-based attacks, where AI technology is being used for protecting us against cyber threats, but better technologies are used to attack us. That's the situation.
But Mr. Ruben, you have a diverse 20, 50 odd companies.
Yeah.
So across the chain, do you have the same strategy for information security? I mean, if you take 8% as a benchmark, would that be a benchmark across all your business types, or it will be only for some certain business types?
No, for us it's IT and security are all centralized. So I manage a team of around 200 people for IT. So it's all centralized. So we decide, we decide what needs to be done in terms of security investments, because a lot of applications people use in different companies are all provided by us. We provision that. We use SAP for the last 25 years. So it cannot be installed by individual companies. It has to be centralized. So majority of users are on that platform. So we provide the security for those people.
Terrific, thank you. Evans?
Yeah, so I'll answer the question from a fintech perspective, right? And usually your investment starts at zero when you start, and you're scaling up 1%, 2%. So around probably the third, fourth, fifth year, you get to a level of 4% of your budget on security. This is where we are now, between 4 to 5%.
Is that a regional number or is that a global number? Is it a
No,
is
this
it an
is
industry
more
number?
of a global number, yeah. This is more of a global number.
Can we take that as an industry number for an average fintech of your size?
Yeah, so I'm talking particularly for fintechs, right? Because they have regulators, and the regulators are imposing certain risk frameworks to us, so we have to make these investments, right? If you are a startup outside the regulatory environment, then it's probably closer to 0, 1%. Yeah. So the regulators are driving these investments as the driving force.
Thank you.
That's for the IT investment. It's
not the IT investment, yes, and part of this budget is the security.
And part of that is the security.
Yeah, I think there are some benchmarks published by Gartner Group. The companies of this size, maybe up to $50 million type of turnover. Normally, companies that are 5% of the turnover. 5% of the turnover as the IT spend. When it goes to 500 million plus, it comes down to 2% roughly, according to the Gartner report.
Amazing. Because even in the telecom industry, the benchmark, a great telecom company would be spending about 5% max on their IT spend, 5 to 6% on their IT spend. The rest of the network spend is much more higher. So it's kind of getting synced in with the number which you're saying. Thank you so much. Coming down to some individual questions. Yeah, so, financial institutions have always been a prime target for cybersecurity. I mean, cyber attacks, sorry. You spoke earlier on moving to cloud migration, data migration, etc. So, using that as a backdrop, how does Finance House and the NBFC industry at large, how do you ensure compliance with, say, regional regulations, and how do you stay ahead of such threats?
Well, I guess it is a philosophy. Cybersecurity is not something that can just be legislated. You're managing people's money is sitting with you. You got to protect those assets. I think one of the key benchmarks for a financial services industry is the ISO 27001 certification. So which is the industry standard for information security management. All aspects, whether it's access control, whether it is network, whether it is protection of your systems, applications. So that is something that we hold ourselves to very dearly. So we have been ISO 27001 certified for many years. We continue to renew those certifications year on year. And again, as a payment card service provider, we have a PCI DSS certifications which are mandatory by the brands that we work with. So those two, I would say, are the core of our philosophy on information security. Beyond that, yes, there are data protection laws. UAE came up with Federal Law number 45 of 2021, which is more on the data protection aspects. ADGM has its own data protection law. The IFC has its own protection law. But the core has to be your belief in working with the ISO 27001 standards as your benchmark. I think if you follow that, you're pretty much there.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for that. You know, I'd like to take this, I'd like to kind of move this on to events and kind of expand on this question, which says, you know, you heard about leveraging technology in similar space, in the finance space. So we heard very recently about the cloud strike, which happened about a few months ago, and that kind of broke the myth on cloud and what it can do, and the impregnability of what cloud can had. So how do you, from a fintech angle, look at this particular incident, and what are the precautions which an average fintech should take to manage such kind of risks?
So, yeah, I mean, the CrowdStrike incident was an outage, right? It wasn't the cloud breaking down. It was one company in the entire chain having an outage, and it brought the world to a stall basically for a few hours. And it's interesting. We all learn a lot of lessons out of it, even if we were not, as a fintech, we were not directly impacted, simply because we cannot afford CrowdStrike. We work with other vendors. But our partners, our banking partners, the bigger players actually were impacted, right? The big names in the industry were down for a few hours, so we couldn't execute payments with them. We realized that we need to basically improve our, let's say, third-party management, right? For us, having a cybersecurity company was a risk mitigation, right? So you have a cybersecurity company because you're mitigating your risks. And by mitigating your risks, you tick the box of the regulator. So you think you're fine, but it's not enough anymore. You need to go and do more homework on the vendor that you're selecting, on the company that you're selecting, and the dependencies that they have out there, right? So we increased we enhanced our vendor selection process. We joined different networks and forums of, let's say, professionals in the industry to exchange opinions. I think the entire world started doing that, to be honest, from the big companies between them to the smaller ones and the fintechs like us, exchanging opinions and best practices. And I think, you know, it was a very good example for a few hours of what could be, right? The internet or a cloud shutting down on a more permanent basis.
Mr. Ruman, we heard about so many areas which CEOs and business owners are looking at. We looked at regulation. We looked at so many moving parts in the cybersecurity realm. From your view, what are the myths in cybersecurity and AI risk which the average business user in the room should be aware of?
Yeah, that's a good question. But before that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the CrowdStrike was not a cyber attack. It was a system.
It was an outage, right? Yes, yeah.
It was an outage. So
yeah, it was a tech outage.
Problem. Yeah, they applied a patch and that caused all this problem.
Patch management.
Patch management issue. Okay, coming back to the myths, one of the major myths which I've seen with many people, many of the organizations in the business community, they feel that IT security is the job of technology team sitting 75% of the problems are caused by the people working in the company. Could be social engineering attacks. So unless we engage them in terms of sending awareness to the people, training them, we cannot manage that risk. So that's one of the major issues which I feel that one of the myths people carry. Another thing is about a lot of people think that it's a matter of companies. Cyber risk is more for the companies, not for the individuals. We don't need to worry too much about it. But it's the other way around. All the professional attackers know that individuals are less protected on cyber security, and they have a lot of things they can get from the people in terms of your credit card numbers or bank account numbers or many other things can be compromised. And some people think also that, I don't have much data on my laptop, so what is that people can take? Like the previous panel, I think Dr. Narayan, you mentioned that people can still get into the system and then they can plan some damage for you. Also, it can happen that, you are part of a network. If your system gets compromised, it can spread laterally into multiple other systems and it can cause more damage for the company, even though you don't have much to lose. These are all the general myths I believe we are all familiar with many other wrong perceptions people carry about cybersecurity. I think most important thing here is that, in spite of all the threats that we have, we should be prepared to invest in new technologies because we stand to benefit a lot from the new technologies and especially the AI, generative AI. These are things which we should definitely, a lot of people will shy away from that purely because of the cybersecurity threats. So we should try to survive this threat. Not only survive, I think we should thrive. We should learn to live with these threats coming in, with all the features, all the functionality that you expect from IT.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We can open the floor for some questions. Jitu bhai.
Two questions I have. The first one's quite straight, small, simple question. A little earlier there was a mention that UAE is ranked very high comparatively in terms of various global security standards, cyber security standards. And yet in the opening presentation we said that the UAE average attack cost is way higher than the global average. So that's kind of a contradiction. I don't understand how that works, if somebody can explain to me. And the second question, which is a bit longer, is security, as many of us said, is not exactly a destination, not a goal, it's a mindset, it's a process. I find, and there are a lot of bankers here, including on the panel, finance, it's one of the most regulated businesses. There's tons of money being spent on technology, and I find it very surprising that the processes from the banks themselves are not really up to the mark in the sense, let me give you one typical example. There are incoming calls from banks where a customer is expected or asked to authenticate himself and ask for personal questions. I've literally raised this with international banks many times. How can an international bank call me and tell me, authenticate yourself, give me your registered email address, give me your registered mobile phone. I tell them I'm on a metro. There are 20 people listening to me. You can spend as much money as you want on technology and trainings, but if your processes are not designed to protect the customer, then what's the point in investing all of this money?
Well, the first question probably is out of my domain, so I can't really answer that. The second question, yes, in terms of it's not as if there are no regulations for financial institutions. There are. There are standards or metrics in terms of what protection, how do you have a holistic approach to your information security management standards. So That's how the ISO 27001 I was talking about, because it covers every aspect of a financial institution, not only financial, but primarily financial institutions. It covers every aspect of your operations in the digital space. How do you protect your computer systems, your network, your applications, your APIs? So all of that is covered in that. Central banks primarily don't prescribe to the T in terms of your standards for data protection or standards for IT security management. That by and large comes through a different angle of consumer protection, whether it's the GDPR in Europe or the CCPA in the US or the 45 Federal Law 45 of 2021. These indirectly impose certain conditions to institutions that, okay, you cannot expose your customers to these risks. You need to have this permission of the customer before you share this information or whatever. From that directives, the institutions have to derive what standards do we need to build, what security measures do we need to implement using the available tools for information security and data management to meet those standards. So it's never, to the best of my knowledge, no regulator has ever prescribed to the T in terms of what you should do for information security management, which is more an industry standard, technology availability, and how much do you want to spend to protect it. Coming back to your question on how do I authenticate myself, I think most institutions have now moved to authentication via email or through your phone banking application, mobile application. So it's you do have a choice of not necessarily giving a voice authentication, but through a dual factor authentication on your mobile phones or through an app, which is definitely where the industry is moving.
Mr. Uman, you would like to take
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got any official statistics on this matter, but again, some of my assumptions possibly are, one is the level of adoption of the advanced technology in UAE is much higher compared to the rest of the region. When it comes to more advanced technologies, one problem which all the technology professionals face here is that all the advanced technologies come initially with very weak security stack. Which is always, when cloud started, the same thing. When IoT started, the same thing. So subsequently, we try to retrofit security to the technologies. So when your adoption level is high, you are more vulnerable to attacks. The statistics which I quoted earlier about the 73% of the companies are attacked by ransomware in the last 2 years. The global average is only 65%, by the way. So we are slightly living on a dangerous edge.
Thank you. I think, can we take the questions? Okay, you can never say no to the lady. Yaja.
I'm used to sleeping well at night, but tonight I think I cannot sleep. So is there any sliver of hope for instance, as a user, the bank app always says face recognition, can you enable it? Or my voice is my password, kind of a thing. Do we say yes? Do we enable the face recognition? Or do we say, no, I'm going to just rely on OTP? As a user, what should I do for my money to be safe?
No, my suggestion, I mean, it could be my personal suggestion. All the new technologies come with a lot of plus points. That's why it's been introduced, including the banks, etc., because it has got some positive aspects. It's got some advanced level of protection. Because of the false sense of security that most of the people have, because when you go for the new technologies, there could be more threats coming. And that's what I was mentioning earlier also. people stay away from that. But I think, personally, I feel that we should try to use this tech because these are all tested. None of the banks, for example, will introduce a technology as a trial to see whether it is protecting it is secure for the users or not. They would have done multiple trials before it's introduced by the people. So I will do it myself in case it's launched.
Thank you very much. I think we had a very absorbing discussion here.
I don't know about you all, but my hands are cold. Not from the fear that the speakers induced about cybersecurity, but from the air conditioning. I had to go out and tell them to reduce the intensity of the AC and to raise the temperature. And so now I think it's a little more comfortable than it was for the first hour and a half. His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Saeed Al-Kindi has just left the room, but we all thank him for having come and stayed through the proceedings. It's not very common to see the chief guest or the guest of honor staying all the way through. They come for the bouquets, they hear the first speech, and then they have to attend to other business, but he actually gave us time all the way through. Thank you to all the speakers, starting with Suki, who gave us a beneath the hood view on cybersecurity as well as AI. I found it a fascinating insight into the pros, the cons, and what goes into making AI the important subject that it is. His speech had a certain feel-good factor about it, about UAE's progress and standing in the world order. To think that this small country of 10 million, 11 million people ranks number 5 in the world is really something to reflect upon. And he ended with a call to action. Yeah, that I think adopting AI responsibly was something of a takeaway. The panel, ably conducted by Samir Makhija, I think the key takeaway from all the speakers in that panel was the risk. Oh, there he is. Welcome back, Your Excellency. We were just thanking you for having come here and stayed all the way through. Samir Makhija's panel, I think they managed to convince each one of us that we have to be more cyber aware or cyber security aware, and we have to do something about it in our personal lives and then in our formal professional lives. And so thank you all panelists for having instilled the fear of God in us in a cyber secure manner. If they had another half an hour on the panel, they would have done more of it. So thank you, Samir, for having stopped it. The second panel, wisdom exuded from a user perspective, from a startup fintech perspective. I mean, we had multiple facets on the business side of cybersecurity. So the finance side of cybersecurity, the practical aspects of steering a ship securely. So I think there's a lot of takeaways from this panel as well. The first question actually kept me awake throughout the panel. It was a question on what keeps you awake at night. So it kept us awake through the session. And so thank you, Karthik, for these very thoughtful questions. Thought-provoking questions, I should say. As for our sponsor, Chandan Ahuja, thank you very much for stepping up to the plate. I hope you got all the publicity you wanted. I can take liberties with him. I know him for 30 years now, so I can take all the liberties with him. We'll ask him next year, at the end of the year. The strength of the chain is the weakest link, is a famous proverb. I think today we will revisit and say the strength of the network is the weakest computer in the network. And with that, I must say, as an audience, you were wonderful. Only when asked did you speak, and you spoke your questions very well, very thought-provoking questions, challenging questions. Yes. So thank you all. And I must also add that we seem to have taken, as IBPC, we seem to have taken to the new timings very well. Rather than the 6 to 8 followed by dinner, we've adapted to the 4:30 to 6:30, stretched to 7:30, evening snack program also equally well. With that, thank you all, and please don't forget to have tea on your way back.